Hello and welcome to DNBC TV, where we bring you interviews with businessmen and women from around the world. My name is Gloria Pollock, and today I'm gonna interview Ilene Gottlieb. She's known as the Heart Healer. Her experience combines 50 years in nursing and 27 years in vibrational healing to create a holistic approach to clearing energy blocks and promoting healing. She helps an international heart-centered individuals who struggle with fear, self-sabotaging, negative thoughts or behaviors, and self-worth issues to experience inner peace, self-confidence, empowerment, and clarity about their soul's purpose. She's the creator of her signature programs, including the Inner Child Integration Process, the monthly New Moon Clearing Process, and she shares spiritual wisdom, holistic approaches to living, and live Akashic Records readings on her weekly radio show, Live with Ilene Gottlieb, the Heart Healer, on the Heart Healer Radio Network. Hello, Ilene. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you, Gloria. It's a joy to be here with you today.
Thank you. Well, the first question is, what's the timeline of your business? Like, how did it start and how is it doing right now?
So I started my business over 27 years ago. My background's in nursing, so I've actually been in nursing for over 50 years, but my private practice I started a little over 27 years ago. And so the timeline, unlike perhaps some more corporate related businesses, is more organic. I tend to go with intuitive wisdom and guidance. And so it's very difficult for me to have a very kind of clinical timeline as far as numbers and expectations. It's more about being able to follow my soul's purpose, which is pretty much the mission of the business is the mission of my soul's purpose, which is to remind people that we're here to remember how to be a loving presence in our relationship with ourselves. So everything, and this is why I'm known as the Heart Healer. So everything about my business is about expanding that connection to those that I'm here to serve, to support the collective of humanity, because we're all connected in my beliefs and understanding. From that energetic perspective, I realize it may not feel that way or look that way from that human physical perspective, but from an energetic perspective, we're all connected and we're very connected to the earth. So whatever promotes peace, whatever promotes conscious heart connection, gets expressed in some way, shape, or form in how I work with people individually or how I work with people as a group. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yes. So, so your business is growing with you. Like, it's something really personal for you, is it?
That's an interesting way of languaging it. In a way, I guess it does. But isn't that true for most businesses? Because we are the heart of our business. And so as we grow and evolve, our businesses grow and evolve and change. So I can be with that. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Okay, so what are the values on your business?
Again, because I'm a solo practitioner, they tend to be what my values are, right? And my values are about creating a loving presence, being kind, being compassionate, being empowering. My business as an expression of who I am is all about loving on people, right? And helping them in whatever way I can based on my skill set, my experience to guide them on their healing journey, whatever it is that is up for them in that time, right? Because everyone is either experiencing a physical issue, an emotional issue, challenges with mindset, relationship issues. I work a lot with entrepreneurs, so there can be business related challenges that are on the table. So I'm very focused on what the goals are for the client, and bringing my skill set and experience to the table to support them in achieving their goals for our time together.
Okay. And what is the mission of this kind of business?
Again, it's similar to what we've spoken about. It is about creating, through one-on-one interaction or group interaction, a way of being that is loving, compassionate for each individual in their relationship with themselves, in their relationship with others, and in their relationship with the earth. It's all connected. So everything at the heart of the mission of my business and my soul's purpose is about who we're being in our relationship with ourselves. And at the core, it's about remembering how to be loving in that relationship with ourselves first, because that's very much reflected in how we are being in our relationships with others and our relationships with our businesses.
Okay.
Right? It's the core of everything.
Uh-huh. And how do you sell, because this business is a service, right?
Right.
How do you sell it to someone? How do you sell a service to someone? I guess it's harder than sell a product because they're looking at the product. But how do you sell a service, and especially this kind of service that involves like your spirit, like everything that is inside of us? How do you sell your own business?
It can be very challenging, but it's the business is not what's being sold, right? It's the product is me. You know, the product is when you're a solo practitioner, you are your business, you are your CEO, you are your product. And so because the work that I do is somewhat esoteric, it is sometimes challenging for people to see the value in it until they experience it. And so word of mouth referral has always been a very core element of how I've grown my business all these years. I think that strategies for selling, I really don't think of it as selling. I think of it as serving. But you're right, every business needs to sell something, right? It's not always comfortable for those of us that are alternative therapists, you know, that are functioning in a very different business model.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is to educate, to share valuable content that helps people to relate to you on the level that they're at, and to use language that makes it understandable. And sometimes that can be a little challenging, but I have been doing this for enough years that I hope that I've been experienced enough to be able to share with people, more focused on the benefits that they might feel rather than what the process is, but some people want to know that. And those that do, then I share that with them as much as I can. And I get a point of understanding what their language is, what their belief sets are, so that I can find the language that will speak to them. And that's how I function within client sessions as well, because not everybody uses the same language, but we're all experiencing the same human experience, right? And so we're all experiencing similar challenges. So we work with the language of the client in order to create a space that's safe and that is empowering for them. It's less about telling someone what they need to do rather than helping them to recognize what can be empowering for them. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Do you like, let's say, I guess like everybody can be your client, if even though if they're in need or not, or they probably don't know. Let's say if I go with you and I tell you, look, I have this problem or I have this need, What's the first step that you take? Like,
So I think it's interesting, the question. Yes, the type of work that I do can benefit everyone, right? I started as a pediatric nurse, so I've worked with newborn babies, I've worked with pregnant moms, I've worked with people in between, both men and women, as well as working with people that are in their transition to spirit, in their dying process. I'm an old hospice nurse from many years ago. So the process of birth and all the way through to the process of dying is something that's very comfortable for me. And so I've lost the question. Can you repeat the question for me? I'm glad that this is being edited. Go ahead.
let me ask them to edit it too, because I have my nose like this. Okay. So what is the first step for a new client that comes to you?
Okay, I often start with a client with a complimentary session. I do offer a complimentary heart healer session for people that have questions, that they're not sure. And that's a 30-minute session. And I let them know in the beginning that this is my time, that I get to listen to what they're identifying as their problem, issue, or challenge that they want to focus on. And then I get to share with them whatever through my intuitive wisdom or from my experience I can offer them as an approach, as tools. I often give them value during that session, something that they can take back with them and start using right away. And they're not under any obligation to schedule a session as a fee for service with me. I'm totally 100% present during that complimentary session and offering whatever I can. And then if they would like to work with me, then I offer them different ways that they can do that.
Okay, interesting. So what catch me is that you said I gave them something that they can use or not. I mean, it's their option. In the first session, something that you're gonna think about, and that makes you come back and say, "Whoa, this might work for me." And that's a good thing actually, for, I guess, any business. And this is interesting what you say, and especially because this kind of business are harder to like do. In
Well,
general.
unless a client has experienced energetic healing, or they've experienced an Akashic Records reading, which is similar to an intuitive reading. Unless they've experienced these things, then they wouldn't have a point of reference. And I do so much more than just the techniques or services, right? I do spiritual counseling as well. The business acceleration sessions that I do with entrepreneurs is all about receiving intuitive wisdom. It's like having the spiritual board of directors for your business present, and you ask questions. You know, we figure out what's limiting your business, and we come up with information that will help to guide you. I've made entrepreneurs a lot of money over the years, which has been really a wonderful gift. It's been so much fun. I love doing what I do when I'm in service to people. I really do.
I mean, I can tell, like, when you have a successful career in business, you can tell that there's passion there, and then you can make it grow, and you're happy about it. Like, you're happy doing what you're doing, and
Indeed.
that's one of the main things that people should learn and know about starting a business.
Right. A lot of people at my age, they sit there and they go, "Why aren't you retiring?" And I'm going, I can't even imagine not doing what I'm doing. Right. It's just, it's fulfilling. And you're right. I love the word that you used. I have a passion for it, for sure. It's when you are living your soul's purpose, it just exudes with passion for anyone that's living their soul's purpose. And I certainly am. And I'm grateful for that.
Nice, it's good. You're lucky because there's not a lot of people outside there that is doing what they are passionate about. So you are lucky.
I am very grateful, believe me. I am.
Um, does your business have a religious touch, or is there something like a religious? religious thing on it?
It does not. It is spiritual in nature because, again, my business is a reflection of me. I have more spiritual beliefs, but that's not a requirement. A person's beliefs, whether they are religiously dogmatic or spiritual in nature, or they have no spiritual connection, is not a requirement to do sessions with me. But if someone is looking for someone that has a spiritual undertone and connectedness to who they are, then that would be someone that would be comfortable working with me. But I have found over the years that I've worked with so many different kinds of people in terms of religious beliefs, everything from incredibly orthodox, shall we say, very strict in their religious beliefs, whatever they are, to the opposite extreme and everything in the middle. And I have been blessed to be able to find the language that is appropriate for that person. And I'm very, very upfront and honest. And I say, so is this language comfortable for you? And if it isn't, we find another way to express whatever it is that I feel that they are in need of hearing in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting.
Mm.
And on behalf of your sessions, what other services do you provide?
So there's a number of different things that I do. Some are a fee for service and some of them are not. The fees for service include vibrational healing or energy healing sessions, emotional clearing work. I have a signature program or process called an inner child integration process. So people that have childhood trauma or adult trauma, this is wonderful for that because it addresses the part of us that is reactive. It's really not the adult in us, it's the part of us that's been wounded as a child. And I am a survivor of PTSD as a child. And so I am grateful for all of the tools that I've gained through the years, particularly Ho'oponopono, which is the ancient Hawaiian process of atonement, forgiveness, transmutation, or problem solving, which is probably an easier way to refer to it. This is a process that I have been doing for over 10 years. And it came to me about 3 years ago as a course of study that I felt drawn to participate in. And it was the one thing that all these years I've been looking for that helped me to heal my PTSD and my relationship with my mom. And so I was blessed to have a year and a half of a relationship that was so wonderful with her as a result of this Ho'oponopono process prior to her transitioning to spirit about a year and a quarter ago. And she was 95 at the time. So, you know, quantity over quality, never. Quality over quantity is really a year and a half of a fabulous relationship with her will do me well for the rest of my life. Oh, I'm grateful. And I love teaching it. So I have a couple of membership communities. One of them is a focus on its conscious heart connection and Ho'oponopono. It's called the Heart Healers Ho'oponopono Community. I have a Facebook group that started first and the membership community launched from that. I have another membership community that's all about essential oil education. I'm a lover of aromatherapy. That's one of the things I've missed during COVID is not being able to share my oils in person with clients. But I still share them in whatever way that I can. And so this is a new membership community. It's called Sharing the Love, one oil drop at a time. And it's all about practical applications, practical day-to-day applications of essential oils to create a non-toxic household and home office or office and just a non-toxic lifestyle from that holistic perspective. So Akashic Records readings, medical intuitive readings, vibrational healing sessions, business acceleration sessions, on the not for a fee for service. And there's probably more there that I'm not thinking of in the moment, but I offer a monthly new moon clearing process, and that is all about, it's a guided meditation to clear out the energy in this energy field that we are, so that when we sit down to do our intentions for the next lunar cycle, because that's what the new moon is all about, you're more consciously connected, your language is clearer, you're more focused in how you declare your statements for that next lunar cycle for what your intentions are. So I don't know if that's everything. I have a lot of services that I offer. Oh, you know what? I also offer medical procedure support. And that's multifaceted. It offers guidance on homeopathics, on essential oils. It offers energy healing remotely, as well as mindset and support. And because I'm a nurse, it also is, it's wonderful to be able to help people to have what they need at home, that sometimes that's not part of the preoperative support that their physician's office or the hospital might provide, so that they have everything ready. It makes the process of going through a medical procedure, a surgery, an outpatient procedure, whatever it is, so much more empowering, shall we say, when they're prepared. It's much less anxiety as well, because you feel like you're more prepared for everything that's coming your way involved with that experience. Yeah, and I love doing that. That's a nice marriage to my left brain nursing experience, right? And my right brain feelings, nature, and being able to kind of balance it all, the energy of it as well as the practicality of it.
Oh, that is nice, because there's a lot of people that change paths, you know, and then you're like, oh, I spent all this time at school or like studying this career, and then now I'm doing this. But everything in your life is gonna help you, like, you're not gonna know, but it's gonna help you at any point in your life. So
agreed. I've been very blessed. You mentioned earlier, you know, to know what your soul's purpose is, and many people don't. I have always known that I wanted to be a nurse. I was the little kid with the Halloween costume that was the nurse's costume. I come from a family of nurses. My mother and sister are, you know, my mom was a nurse, my sister is a retired nurse. And so my whole career has been an expression of being a nurse. First clinical, working with kids, working with women and children. And then my middle career was as a nurse legal assistant. I worked for a mid-sized law firm here in South Florida that's focus was on healthcare law, medical malpractice, defense work. So I have always been still expressing myself as a nurse, because in my private practice, there is a nursing diagnosis called energy field imbalance. So everything is still an expression of who I am as a nurse. The work that I do now is more related to being a holistic nurse rather than a very specific allopathic nurse, if that makes sense to you.
Yes. Okay. Oh, that I didn't know that. Like that nurses have that, like, is it, what is this, like a class?
Which part are you asking about? The class part?
Like the energy that you were talking about?
Yes, actually, I've taken two programs of study. The first program of study is now the company or the organization is called Healing Beyond Borders. I'm certified as a Healing Touch Practitioner. So the energy healing is called Healing Touch. And the second program of study that I took was a medical, intuitive, and quantum healing program that was through Kim Sear and Sear Associates. She's a colleague, and it's a wonderful program of study. And those are the only two programs of study for energy healing that I have been drawn to. Everything else has been gifts received
Okay.
through my connection to source, to God, divine creator, by whatever name you want to call it.
Okay.
And so I feel very blessed, but I'm grateful for all of the more formal education processes that I've experienced as well. All tools in the toolbox, right?
Yes, yes, of
Yeah.
course. And how was the business during COVID? What were the challenges? Because you know what happened. So
That's a great question. That's a great question. I'm very grateful, Gloria, because I've had international clients and clients outside of my local area throughout my entire private practice. And so transitioning from not seeing clients at all in person and doing everything virtually was not a big leap for me. Obviously, I'm doing more Zoom, but I did mostly for those remote clients, I did phone sessions, right? And I had a means of recording those sessions as well. But now the majority of those sessions are by Zoom. A few of them are by phone, but most of them are by Zoom. For the complimentary sessions, for the clients that are out of the country, I use WhatsApp for those phone sessions, shall we say, or for people that really need to see you, then we do Zoom. But most of the complimentary sessions are either by phone or they're by WhatsApp.
Okay, and how does it work? Because you say you have done that like phone calls before, but with this energy, like how do you do it?
How does it work? That's a really good question, and one that I probably will not be able to answer to anyone's satisfaction. It's a very difficult question because unless you understand or you've experienced energy healing, it can be very challenging to conceptualize it. So if you can imagine this, right? Quantum physics tells us that everything is energy. Whatever we see, sense, feel, hear, know, or experience is energy. So if we can imagine our planet as an energy system, if we can imagine our bodies as an energy system, that the holistic definition of who we are means that we have a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspect of who we are. If all of those aspects of who we are energy, then there's no boundary. The solidness that we experience our bodies as having or being, not so much so when you look at it from an energetic perspective. But the interesting thing about energy dynamics is that everything's vibrating at a different frequency. So the more solid something appears, the lower the frequency. The more airy, shall we say, like air, light, sound, that which has less form or solidity to it, is a higher frequency. And the same is true. So if we think of it from the physical realm, like our bones would be a lower frequency than the blood flowing in our body, that would be a lower frequency than the air exchange in our lungs, and so on. For the emotional realm, we know that we experience emotions because we feel them. Yes. But if we consider that they're all energy, just vibrating at different frequencies, then the emotions that we judge as negative, fear, anger, grief, all the emotions that comprise depression, they're lower vibrational. They're uncomfortable. They're denser. In contrast to the opposite end of the frequency spectrum, the highest is the most healing emotion of all, which is love, right? And so love, passion, which we've spoken about today, joy, happiness, even the experience of bliss, however that comes to us, they're all high vibrational. So we judge them as emotions that feel good. But really, from an energetic perspective, they're not good or bad, right or wrong. They're just vibrating at a different frequency, and they're information. And that information in the form of an emotion helps us to define where we are in the human experience. Because without them, how would we know?
Yes.
Right? So when we think of it in terms of energy, then there's no separation. There's wonderful references to the effects of prayer, remote prayer, that it's felt across the globe, right? And we can do remote energy healing without having to be touching someone or even in their presence. In fact, from the practitioner side of it, believe it or not, my gifts are, I'm very kinesthetic, which means I feel energy with my hands. I can literally feel someone's energy, probably even more so when I'm working on them remotely than if they're sitting right here with me, because there's the distraction of the physical presence.
I was going to say that, yeah, there's distractions and talk here, talk there, and then
it's wild. And in fact, the amount of time that it takes to complete a remote healing session is much less than when you're doing it in person. And I don't know that I have a reasonable explanation as to why that's true. I can only tell you that that's my experience of it. And for most people that do remote healing, I think they would probably agree.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Because yeah, most of the business were really, really bad at that time. And now that you're telling me this about there shouldn't be a difference, or it's probably even better do it like that on Skype or Zoom. But
I don't know that clients would think it was better. I still have clients that really wish that I would start seeing people in person again. And I have clients that are waiting until I will do that, that they don't want a Zoom session, they don't want a phone session. And then there are others that have adapted and feel, the need has overpowered their discomfort, shall we say, right? But I have found that because I've worked with so many people outside my area, either by phone or by Zoom, that I trust and know that it's helpful and it works. And people just need to experience in order to increase their level of trust on the experience themselves.
Experience the new world.
It is, and it's a process. And the beauty of COVID for me has been that it's just expanded because of our technology. It has expanded the number of people that I've been able to be in support of. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I started the membership communities, because there's only one of me. And if I have a bigger audience, then I can support more people in their healing journeys, and particularly related to the Ho'oponopono, the Heart Healers Ho'oponopono community. For me, it's about, as a teacher, and I love to teach, the more people that I'm able to teach this process to and support them in creating a consistent practice that's supporting them in whatever their goals are, that energy just expands on itself. And then they talk about it with someone. And then there's another person that's able to do this work. And more people are benefiting from it. And that's my heart's joy, is to be able to have more people on the planet to be able to benefit from these processes in their own health and well-being. And there's also that collective of humanity focus that we're going to be focusing on in this community, where we've done group gatherings on Zoom for promoting peace on the planet in light of what's been going on in the Ukraine and Russia. But that's not the only area on the planet that is experiencing hostilities, right? And so it is to support all of humanity, as well as Mother Earth herself, who supports us so beautifully. And so it's a way of expressing gratitude, for sure.
Okay, well, it's interesting. And what was the where if it was there with this COVID, were like the sellings, or did something change other than the way you communicate with your clients?
I think that it's been challenged from time to time. It seems to have gone in cycles. Right now, we're in an upward cycle, and for that, I'm incredibly grateful. But it's a service business. And so if everyone is feeling the crunch financially, if they're feeling challenged, then the spending of discretionary funds for what they might feel is superfluous, unnecessary in the moment, will close the pocketbooks a little bit. We all do that. It's human nature, and so I think that as the economy shifts for everyone, so will the success of our businesses. Most people are, the clients that I'm attracting are comfortable enough that they're feeling that they can spend what they need to in order to support their healing. But these are people that value the services that I bring to the table. For those that may be on the fence about it, they may be a little bit more reticent
Yes.
to spend their discretionary funds. And so you have to find your way to the people that understand what it is that you offer that is a benefit to them.
Okay.
And isn't that true for all businesses, right?
Yes.
That's magic. That's the magic of being able to find your people.
Yes. And what is as a business owner, what is your routine during your day, like a regular day?
My personal day, my personal routine?
Including your business routine too.
Sure. Okay. So I get up very early in the morning. I'm up by 5:30, 6 o'clock at the latest. And the first thing that I do is I meditate. That is an integral part of how I live and begin my day. And when I finish my meditation, I then come and I do some remote healings with a device called Healing. It's not me hands-on. There are programs that are set up through this medical device called Healy, Healy. And I have a handful of clients that I do remote transmissions for. This is a device that's able to do both remote scanning as well as sending of transmissions. And they're designed to address whatever the challenges are that the client has. And I do this with family, with friends, and with a handful of clients. And then I begin my day. It varies every day. 2 days a week, I have a Zoom mastermind group that I work with. And that's wonderful. We're all solo practitioners, so we're a wonderful support for each other. We've been doing this for several months now. And my regimen for my nutrition it varies depending upon my schedule. I'm very holistically oriented. I do intermittent fasting. So I don't really eat my first meal until the afternoon. And there are days that I do more administrative aspects of my business, my emails, whatever I need to do on the computer, my social media connections, whatever marketing I do as far as that's concerned. And I do everything that's involved with my business. 3 days a week is when I normally schedule my clients. They're usually from 11 in the morning until 7 or so at night would begin the last session. Those are Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. But I'm also very flexible because when you're dealing with human beings, everything is not always on a schedule. And so I need to be flexible for my international clients because we're not all on the same time zones.
Yes.
And so I do my best to honor what I need to get done in a day, but also to be able to be flexible to the needs of my clients. Because when a client's in crisis, everything else gets dropped. including a regularly scheduled client, which
Yeah.
may need to be backed up. And everyone is understanding because they one day may be the one that needs that attention, right? I don't do physical exercise as much as I would like to. That's something that I would like to incorporate into my day-to-day routine.
Okay.
And so what else do I do? Oh my goddess. You know, there are some weeks that I do interviews, like I'm blessed to be able to do with you. I also speak at nursing conferences virtually. That's kind of a relatively new thing, not something that I ever thought that I'd be doing. But I'm bringing the conscious heart connection into the topics that I'm talking about with my colleagues around the world, because these are all international conferences. And I'm really grateful to be able to offer tools that they can start using right away to help them with their relationship with themselves, to help them with their stress levels, because my colleagues that are working in the hospitals and in any type of a healthcare setting are stressed beyond words. And my heart aches for them, you know, the trauma that they've experienced. We as nurses do experience a lot of trauma because we do. It's the nature of the job, right? Because we are caregivers, we are nurturers, and until you learn how not to take on someone else's stuff, right? You feel deeply for what's going on with the person that you're caring for. And so the tools that I talk about are ones that are for their self-care. But there are also tools that help their way of being in their relationship with themselves and while they're in the workplace, so that it makes it easier for them to be able to do what they need to do, which is, it's weighted. It's very heavy right now, more so than usual. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. Again, it was intuitively guided. And once you start talking, they all seem to know each other, you know, the people that do these conferences around the world. And so I'm blessed to be asked to speak at these conferences. It's more than once a month. And so I'm grateful.
Was it a result of COVID, or was it something that someone just...
I think the first opportunity was from my local state. I'm in Florida, so it's the Florida Nurses Association. It was a call for abstracts, and when I was invited to do that, it was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And when they accepted it, it was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And it was just such a natural way of being able to serve my colleagues, and it was delightful. And it was supposed to be in person, but because this was last September, but because of COVID, we went to a virtual platform. And the one that I was asked to speak at the next month also went to virtual platform. It was supposed to be in Florida as well, in the Orlando area, and one after the next, you know. And now I'm being asked to speak at virtual conferences that are set up that way, in Singapore, in London, in New York. It's unbelievable how this is expanding. And as a professional speaker, I'm grateful for these opportunities. These opportunities to be of service in this way.
Wow, that's amazing. And
I agree.
when you were talking about your routine, your daily routine, you mentioned that you fast, and I mean, I just wanted to ask you, is the diet really important for your energy, for all your like spiritual issues or benefits?
I don't know necessarily that I think of it as a benefit for spiritual connectiveness, but because I look at everything from a holistic perspective, everything is connected. So the food we eat, if it's alive, if it's clean, if it's balanced for what your body needs, then everything that you do in this human expression is made easier because you have a physical, a human vessel that's functioning properly.
Yeah.
I think food and nutrition is key to everyone's health and well-being. I love working with the ancient approaches to what types of foods would be good for me. Intermittent fasting is not ancient, but it's a process that I started doing a few years ago that a colleague introduced me to. And I was already one of those people that didn't like to eat in the morning. So I do a 14 to 16 hour intermittent fasting. And that just feels really comfortable for me. But I think that a lot of people develop physical symptoms that are related to food sensitivities that they don't realize they have. And so I'm really an advocate to doing testing for that. There is a company called everlywell.com they specialize in home testing kits. And there are two of them that people can choose from for food sensitivities. And I found that was invaluable in helping me to understand why I was getting inflammatory reactions in my body and the symptoms related to it. And interestingly enough, I found out about it after I changed my dietary regimen to the one that I know works best for me. And all the foods that I was sensitive to were the foods that I was eating. And so, you know what, I love the expression, knowledge is power, right? And so when we have knowledge, when we have information, then we can make conscious choices.
Yes.
And I think our superhuman power, Gloria, is conscious choice.
Yeah.
So the more we have that we can make those conscious choices more fully, the more empowered we are. So I'm grateful. My cardiologist is the one who actually told me about everlywell.com. I love working with people that are holistically oriented. So I'm very grateful. Yeah. Did that answer your question, I hope?
Yes. And just to finish, where are you located?
I'm located in South Florida in a small town called Palm Beach Gardens.
Okay. Okay. That's the only office that you have right now.
I actually work out of my home. So I had an office when I first started my practice, and it was a wonderful space. And this was back in the 1990s, and things shifted, and I needed to come home for a period of time. And I loved the lifestyle. So I have a home office, and I find the lifestyle very nurturing. It sometimes is a little bit more challenging as the solo practitioner. You do need to be a bit more disciplined because you're not out of your home environment. But there are advantages and disadvantages to all types of business models. But I love working from home. I really do. And so again, when you asked, was COVID a big adjustment? It really wasn't for me. It really wasn't at all.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for this interview, and I hope you enjoy it